Hey guys, what is going on? So I wanted to give an update on my cut as well as talk about, my plans for the bulk, because I'm planning on starting my bulk in exactly 2 weeks on June 7th. And, I want to give some updates in terms of how my cut has been going, why I'm going to be ending it in 2 weeks, and, my plans for the bulk and stuff like that. And I also want to talk about why my method of cutting and why I'm doing it so fast. I want to talk about why I'm doing that, as well as why you may or may not want to do something like that for yourself. And for a lot of people, you're not going to be able to replicate what I did, which I will get into. Okay, so new low weigh-in today, 239.6, which is the first time I've been below 240 since I think either October or November of last year. So it's been a while, and I'm approaching that 30-pound kind of arbitrary goal that I had within 2 months, which was my goal. I was, trying to lose 30 pounds in 2 months, and started the cut at like 263, 265. So that would mean getting in the 233 to 235 range, meaning I have to lose, 4 to 6 more pounds, or 4 to 7, I guess. And considering my rate of weight loss has been about 4 pounds per week thus far, I should be able to achieve that within 2 weeks. And then it's time to start the bulk. Okay, so ended up working out very well, even though I did not calculate my calorie expenditure, my calories. I just kind of went based off the scale, and I would I would increase my calories or decrease them based on how the scale was moving. And I'm very happy with my body composition. I actually don't even feel like, I need to lose more fat, but considering I have another couple weeks, that's what I'm going to be trying to do to just kind of get even leaner. So the goal of this in terms of losing weight at that rate is basically, try and make room for another bulk. And so my last bulk, I gained 45 pounds, some of it fat, most of it fat, some of it muscle. And that took me, 9 months. So my new goal for this next bulk is to gain maybe a little bit less, maybe like 40 pounds or something like that, maybe 45 over the course of 10 months. And so if I bulk for 10 months out of the year, and I cut for 2 months out of the year, that means I'm spending 5 times as much time in a calorie surplus as I am in a calorie deficit. And that's just kind of, again, another arbitrary goal, but that sounded very awesome to me, as opposed to like a 6-month bulk and 6-month cut that a lot of people do. They gain weight slowly and they lose it slowly. I would much rather spend, 5 times as much time of my year in an anabolic environment than I do in a catabolic environment, which would be cutting. Okay, so that's how I plan to do it. 2 months. I didn't know if that was overly ambitious, but it seems like it was dead on. And then, my last bulk lasted 9 months. Plan to do this next one for about 10. We'll see how that goes. And I should get to, a similar body fat percentage by the end of this, as, I was towards the end of my last bulk, and I should be starting this bulk at around the same body fat percentage as I was before. So, yeah, seems to make sense. Now, how did I achieve this? I already explained the why. So the how is basically, okay, if my daily expenditure is roughly 5,000 calories, and keep in mind, I'm not tracking these things, even though I do have like a Fitbit, I think that this is like overestimates how much calories I'm burning. But if I'm doing roughly a 5,000 calorie expenditure per day, if I were to lose 4 pounds a week, which is what I've been doing, that is about a 2,000 calorie deficit. These are nice round numbers, but it actually seems to make sense when you go back and you look at the numbers. Okay, so I'm losing about 4 pounds a week. I'm in about a 2,000 calorie deficit. I'm expending around 5,000 calories a day. All of these rough numbers. And how am I able to achieve that? Well, it's ultimately depends on me being able to expend 5,000 calories per day. The biggest part of that equation is my size. I started in the 260s, which is probably, 100 pounds more than a lot of you guys are. And that means that I burn way more calories throughout the day. Okay, so the way that I achieved this is obviously by, previously bulking for 9 months straight. And I actually was unable to gain any weight once I got into, the 263, 265 range. I couldn't gain any more weight. So I actually needed to lower my metabolism to get back to the point where I could bulk again. Plus, I had accumulated all this fat over the course of the bulk that I wanted to cut it out, and then I could build back up, similar to what I did last year. Okay, so Basically I got to the point where I was eating 5,000 calories a day and I wasn't growing. So that was my maintenance. Cut the calories by 2,000, lose 4 pounds a week, and boom. Now when I re-enter my bulk, I will probably have a significantly lower calorie expenditure just because my metabolism will be adjusted and I'll be an overall smaller human being by about 30 pounds, thus giving me more room to bulk, plus being leaner so I don't, feel fat all the time. Okay, so that was kind of my mentality there. Now think about that. If your calorie expenditure is 3,000 a day and you cut your calories by 2,000 like I did, well, you would be eating 1,000 calories, meaning if I'm eating 3,000, you're eating 1,000, I get to enjoy triple the food, but we are in the same deficit, okay? So what is the solution to this? Well, the smaller you are, the less of a calorie deficit you can actually probably adhere to, right? Whereas the larger you are, especially if your expenditure is very high, then you're able to enjoy a bigger deficit and not die, and you can cut way, way quicker like I can. So the main aspect of this is you actually have to build up enough mass to be able to do a proper cut. So you earn your bulk. So that's my number one tip. In terms of actually being, you shouldn't be looking at me, hey Cooper, how can you eat 3,000 calories a day? That must be so tough. Clearly it's not. 3,000 is not that hard to adhere to, which is why this cut has been very easy. But if you want tips on how I'm able to expend 5,000, obviously the first half of that equation is just becoming a larger human, muscle, fat, whatever it is, by bulking. The second half is calorie expenditure. I usually just get this done by taking walks, and I also work in a restaurant, so I get a lot of steps in. So that's all it is, guys. If you want to be able to cut easier, you have to grow, and ideally that would be growing in muscle as opposed to fat, but you kind of have to do both when you're bulking. You do that, you become bigger, your next cut becomes easier, you can do that faster, spend less time being catabolic, grow yourself again, and eventually you can get to these crazy ratios that I have where I'm able to bulk 5 times as long as I cut, and it's only going to get even easier from here. Obviously the bulking is going to get harder because I'm going to have to shovel down more food. But if you look at it from a numerical perspective and think I need to gain more muscle to be able to cut more efficiently, that is a good thing. You get more muscular and you have more control over your food because you're able to eat more, and then you can cut faster and you're going to have an easier time cutting. So these feed into one another. This is why I preach bulking. This is why being in a calorie surplus is going to allow you to build the most muscle, which is going to help you in the long run with cuts. And eventually you can be as lean as you want and eat whatever you want, assuming you grow indefinitely. And obviously that's not going to be the case. You're not just going to be able to grow forever, at least not at a reasonable rate. But the more time you spend in an anabolic environment, the higher your ceiling for muscle, and therefore the easier it is going to be to get to a point where you can eat whatever you want and look how you want in terms of being shredded. Okay, so that is the formula. That is what I preach. That is the whole idea behind what I'm doing. And I would love for you guys who are a far cry away from being 260, and obviously I'm 6'3", so that's a factor. I would love for you to get somewhere between where you're at now and get more muscle and make your cut just that much easier next time. And then just keep repeating the process until you get to a point where, it's perfect for your lifestyle. And then maybe you can take your foot off the gas. But anyway, that's all I got to say about that. I'll keep you updated, and I'll talk to you soon.